when heaven seems strangely silent, yet beneath that silence a warning is being whispered. Many people mistake patience for permission and delay for escape, but every action, every hidden motive, and every secret choice leaves a footprint upon the soul. This Sunday, May 31st, may not be another ordinary day in your journey. It may be the moment when you finally recognize the signs that have been standing before you all along. The world often calls them coincidences, but the Spirit recognizes them as invitations to wake up. God does not delight in punishment, He delights in redemption. Yet before redemption can come, truth must often expose what has been hidden. What you are about to hear may challenge your comfort, but it may also protect your future. There is a pattern woven throughout life that many people fail to recognize until it is too late. Before any great consequence arrives, there is almost always a warning. Before a tree falls, there are signs of weakness in its roots. Before a storm breaks over the sea, the sky begins to change its expression. In the same way, before a person faces the results of a dangerous path, God often places signals along the road. These signals are not meant to frighten but to awaken. They are invitations to see what we have ignored and to hear what we have been avoiding. Many people expect God's warnings to arrive with thunder and fire, yet more often they come quietly. A sudden sense of unease, a message heard at the right moment, a conversation that lingers in the mind long after it has ended, a door that unexpectedly closes, a plan that repeatedly fails despite every effort to force it forward. We call these inconveniences, disappointments, or coincidences, but sometimes they are mercies wearing unfamiliar clothing. Sometimes they are the gentle hands of heaven attempting to redirect a life before it reaches a dangerous destination. The tragedy is that human beings have an extraordinary ability to explain away the very warning. Designed to save them. Pride whispers that everything is under control. Desire insists that consequences belong to other people. Habit convinces the heart that tomorrow will always provide another opportunity to change. Thus, a person continues walking the same road while ignoring every signpost placed before him. The warnings grow clearer, yet the ears grow duller. The signals become stronger, yet the heart becomes harder. God's warnings are not evidence of rejection. They are evidence of attention. A parent who warns a child about danger does so because of love, not because of hatred. If heaven had abandoned a person, there would be no warning at all. The very presence of conviction is proof that grace is still reaching out. The discomfort you feel when something is wrong is often a gift. The restlessness that disturbs your peace may be the voice of truth refusing to allow you to settle comfortably among illusions. There are people listening to this message who have sensed these warnings in recent days. Certain patterns have become impossible to ignore. Certain relationships have revealed cracks that were once hidden. Certain habits no longer provide the satisfaction they once promised. Deep within, there is a growing awareness that something needs to change. Yet the temptation remains to postpone action. The mind argues that there is still plenty of time. The heart promises that tomorrow will be different, but warnings lose their power when they are endlessly postponed. Every ignored signal makes the next one easier to dismiss. Every delayed response strengthens the illusion that consequences will never arrive. What begins as caution slowly turns into certainty, and certainty eventually becomes complacency. The person becomes so accustomed to the warning that he no longer hears it. Consider how often people look backward and say, "I should have known." They remember the signs they dismissed. They recall the moments when they felt a quiet conviction urging them to stop, turn around, or choose another direction. Looking back, the evidence seems obvious. Yet in the moment, they convince themselves that the warning was unnecessary. This is why wisdom listens before proof arrives. Wisdom pays attention before circumstances force attention upon it. Wisdom understands that warnings are gifts offered in advance. The person who responds early often avoids pain that would otherwise become unavoidable. The one who listens while the voice is still gentle may never have to hear it speak through harsher circumstances. Even now, there may be an area of your life where the warning has already begun. Not through fear, but through conviction. Not through condemnation, but through truth. Something within you recognizes that a course correction is needed. Something within you knows that the path ahead cannot remain unchanged. Something within you knows that the path ahead cannot remain unchanged. The question is not whether the truth exists, the question is whether you are willing to face it. One of the greatest illusions that people carry through life is the belief that secrecy provides safety. We imagine that what is concealed is somehow protected. We convince ourselves that if others do not see it, then it possesses no real power over us. Yet the hidden things often shape a person's destiny more profoundly than the visible ones. A man can appear successful while carrying private fears that govern every decision he makes. A woman can smile before the world while silently wrestling with bitterness that slowly consumes her peace. Outward appearances are skilled performers. They can wear masks, memorize scripts, and create impressions. But beneath every performance lies reality, and reality has a way of waiting patiently for its moment to be revealed. The world teaches us to focus on what others think about us. Heaven concerns itself with what we truly are. Human eyes are often impressed by achievements, titles, possessions, and reputation. God sees motives, intentions, desires, and thoughts. The crowd applauds what is visible, the Creator examines what is hidden. This is why some people seem strong while secretly collapsing within, and others appear ordinary while possessing extraordinary strength of character. There is a profound difference between being unseen by people and being unseen altogether. Darkness may hide something from human sight, but darkness itself remains transparent before God. Every word spoken in private, every choice made behind closed doors, every intention carefully concealed from others remains fully known. This reality is not meant to inspire terror. It is meant to awaken honesty. The one who sees everything has already seen everything. There is no need for deception before a God who cannot be deceived. Many people spend years exhausting themselves trying to protect an image. They build walls around weaknesses, construct stories around mistakes, and create distractions to prevent anyone from looking too closely. Yet maintaining a false image demands constant energy. The soul was never designed to live divided between appearance and reality. It was created for truth. It was created for integrity. It was created for the freedom that comes when nothing needs to be hidden. The hidden things never remain still. They grow. Whatever is fed in secret eventually seeks expression in public. A private attitude becomes a visible habit. A concealed resentment becomes an obvious conflict. A hidden compromise becomes a destructive pattern. Seeds planted beneath the soil may remain unseen for a season, but eventually they break through the surface. The same principle applies to the condition of the heart. This is why God often begins his work in the places nobody else can see. Before he transforms actions, he addresses motives. Before he changes circumstances, he confronts the inner life. The deepest battles are rarely fought on public stages. They occur in quiet moments when no audience is present. They occur when a person stands alone with truth and decides whether to embrace it or resist it. There are listeners who already know exactly what this message is touching. Perhaps it is a habit that has been justified for too long. Perhaps it is a wound that has been hidden beneath layers of distraction. Perhaps it is pride disguised as confidence, anger disguised as strength, or fear disguised as caution. Whatever it may be, the soul recognizes what the mind attempts to avoid. The remarkable thing about God's gaze is that it discovers every hidden thing while still offering mercy. He sees the secret struggle and extends grace. He sees the concealed burden and offers freedom. He sees the chambers of the heart that remain locked to everyone else, and he knocks patiently at the door. Nothing surprises him because nothing is hidden from him. Long before the world notices what is occurring within you, heaven has already seen it, understood it, and called you toward something greater. Nothing surprises him because nothing is hidden from him. Long before the world notices what is occurring within you, heaven has already seen it, understood it, and called you towards something greater. Yet one of the most dangerous misunderstandings a person can embrace is confusing God's patience with God's approval. Because consequences do not arrive immediately, many assume they will never arrive at all. Because the sky remains clear today, they believe the storm has disappeared. Because judgment has been delayed, they convince themselves that it has been cancelled. This misunderstanding has led countless people down paths they never intended to travel. Human nature often interprets silence as permission. When a wrong choice does not produce an immediate result, the heart becomes bolder. When a compromise appears to succeed, confidence grows. When a warning goes unheeded and nothing dramatic happens, the mind begins constructing a false sense of security. The person starts believing that the rules somehow no longer apply to them. But time is a poor judge of truth. A seed planted beneath the earth does not reveal itself on the day it is planted. It develops quietly, unseen, gathering strength beneath the surface before eventually appearing in full view. In much the same way, consequences often move slowly. Their delay should never be mistaken for their absence. Some results arrive quickly, while others take months or even years to reveal themselves. Yet delay does not erase reality. God's patience is one of the greatest expressions of His mercy. He does not strike at every mistake the moment it is made. He does not close every door the instant someone wanders from the right path. Instead, He allows space for reflection. He grants opportunities for correction. He extends time so that hearts may awaken before harsher lessons become necessary. This patience is not weakness. It is compassion. It is the steady hand of a father who desires restoration more than punishment. Yet mercy can be misunderstood. A person may receive another day and assume that everything is fine. Another opportunity arrives, and they believe they have escaped the consequences of their choices. A problem remains hidden, and they convince themselves it no longer exists. Gradually, the delay itself becomes part of the deception. The longer nothing happens, the more certain they become that nothing ever will happen. Imagine a traveler walking toward the edge of a cliff hidden by thick fog. Each step feels safe because the danger remains out of sight. The absence of visible danger creates a false confidence. The traveler begins to believe the warnings were exaggerated. He continues forward, not realizing that every step is bringing him closer to a reality he cannot yet see. The cliff does not disappear because it remains hidden. Its presence remains unchanged regardless of the traveler's opinion. Life often operates according to this principle. Consequences are not governed by our awareness of them. Reality does not require our agreement to exist. A person may ignore a crack in a foundation, but the structure continues weakening. A person may dismiss symptoms, but the condition continues developing. A person may overlook spiritual warnings, but the effects of those choices continue shaping the future. There is a profound difference between mercy and escape. Mercy gives you time. Escape removes accountability. God's mercy frequently provides the first, but it should never be confused with the second. Every extra day is an invitation. Every delayed consequence is an opportunity. Every moment of conviction is a gift extended by grace. The purpose of the delay is not to encourage further wandering. The purpose of the delay is to allow a return. Some people listening today have been standing in that space of mercy for a long time. Deep down, they know changes need to be made. They know certain attitudes, habits, or directions cannot continue forever. Yet because no dramatic consequence has appeared, they keep postponing the decision. They keep waiting for a better moment, a clearer sign, a more convenient season. Meanwhile, the very patience designed to save them is being treated as permission to remain unchanged. The wise person recognizes that every delayed consequence carries a question. Not a question about what God will do next, but a question about what they will do now. Will they continue relying on tomorrow, or will they respond today? Will they treat mercy as a doorway to transformation or as an excuse for delay? Because there comes a moment when the season of waiting gives way to the season of harvest, and what has been developing unseen begins to reveal itself in ways that can no longer be ignored, because there comes a moment when the season of waiting gives way to the season of harvest, and what has been developing unseen begins to reveal itself in ways that can no longer be ignored. This is where many people misunderstand the nature of true captivity. They imagine that bondage begins when circumstances close around them, when opportunities disappear, or when consequences finally arrive. Yet the deepest prisons are not built of stone walls or iron bars. They are constructed quietly within the heart long before they ever appear in the outer world. A person rarely wakes up one morning and suddenly finds themselves trapped. Captivity is usually a gradual process. It begins with small compromises that seem harmless. It starts with thoughts that are entertained too often, fears that are given too much authority, desires that are allowed to rule unchecked. What feels like freedom in the beginning can slowly become dependence. What appears to be control can quietly transform into slavery. The soul was created to be governed by truth, yet many people surrender that position to other masters. Some become prisoners of pride. They cannot admit mistakes because their identity has become tied to app. earring strong. Every correction feels like an attack. Every disagreement feels like a threat. Their pride builds a cage around them, and though the door remains open, they refuse to walk out because humility feels more frightening than confinement. Others become prisoners of fear. Fear speaks with the voice of protection while secretly stealing possibilities. It convinces people to remain where they are because movement seems dangerous. It paints every future opportunity with images of failure. Over time, fear narrows the boundaries of life until a person no longer lives according to purpose but according to anxiety. They become captives not because chains have been placed upon them, but because fear has persuaded them to stop moving. Some are imprisoned by bitterness. A wound from years ago continues to shape every relationship. A betrayal becomes the lens through which every person is judged. The past gains authority over the present. The offender may have moved on long ago, yet the injured person continues carrying the weight every day. The prison remains locked not because forgiveness is impossible, but because pain has become familiar. Then there are those who become captives of habits. What began as a choice gradually becomes a pattern. The pattern becomes a routine. The routine becomes an identity. Eventually, the person starts believing they cannot live any other way. They forget there was ever a time when they were free. The chain is strengthened not by force but by repetition. This is why the arrest of the soul always comes before the arrest of circumstances. External consequences are often the visible result of an internal captivity that has existed for a long time. Long before actions become public, attitudes have already taken root. Long before life begins to unravel outwardly, something has been deteriorating inwardly. The battle is rarely lost in a single dramatic moment. It is usually lost through countless small surrenders that seemed insignificant. Not at the time. God understands this better than anyone. That is why his warnings often target the heart before they address behavior. He speaks to motives before actions. He challenges beliefs before circumstances. He knows that changing the outer life without changing the inner life is like repainting a crumbling wall while ignoring the foundation beneath it. The appearance may improve for a season, but the structure remains unstable. Many people spend years trying to solve spiritual problems with external solutions. They rearrange circumstances while leaving the heart untouched. They change locations, relationships, jobs, routines, and environments, yet carry the same fears, the same pride, the same bitterness, and the same unresolved struggles wherever they go. The scenery changes, but the prison remains because its true location was never outside them. The remarkable truth is that freedom begins the moment honesty enters the room. The moment a person stops pretending, healing, and start. The moment they acknowledge the chain, they can begin breaking it. The moment they admit what has been ruling them, they position themselves to be ruled by something greater. God's purpose is not merely to rescue people from difficult circumstances. His desire is to free them from the hidden masters that have been controlling them all along. For some listening today, the warning is not primarily about what is happening around you. It is about what is happening within you. There may be an inner prison that has existed for so long it feels normal. There may be a chain you have carried so long that it feels like part of your identity. Yet deep inside, a voice continues to remind you that you were created for more than survival, more than fear, more than regret, and more than the silent captivity that has followed you through season after season, more than the silent captivity that has followed you through season after season. The truth is that no life arrives at its destination by accident. Whether a person moves toward freedom or toward regret, the journey is usually shaped by choices so small that they seem insignificant when they are first made. We often imagine that destiny is created through dramatic moments, life-changing decisions, and extraordinary events. Yet much of our future is actually built through ordinary choices repeated day after day, often without realizing the direction they are leading us. Every choice is a seed. Some seeds produce peace, while others produce confusion. Some grow into strength, while others grow into weakness. At the moment of planting, the difference may be difficult to see. A seed is small. It appears harmless. It demands little attention. Yet hidden within it is the potential for an entire harvest. This is why wisdom pays attention to small decisions long before they become large consequences. Many people focus on where they want to arrive but ignore the road they are taking. They dream of peace while feeding habits that create turmoil. They desire trust while practicing deception. They hope for strength while continually choosing comfort over discipline. They pray for a different future while repeating the same behaviors that produced the past. Then they become confused when life delivers a harvest that reflects their choices rather than their wishes. The universe God created operates with remarkable consistency. A farmer cannot plant one kind of seed and expect another kind of crop. The principle is so obvious in nature that no one argues with it. Yet people often challenge the same principle in their spiritual and personal lives. They expect kindness to grow from bitterness. They expect honesty to emerge from deception. They expect peace to appear where resentment has been carefully cultivated. The harvest simply reveals what has been planted. What makes this principle so powerful is that it works regardless of whether we acknowledge it. Every conversation shapes relationships. Every thought influences character. Every reaction strengthens a pattern. Every repeated action becomes part of a larger direction. Most people do not wake up and choose a life of regret. Instead, they make small decisions that seem harmless, convincing themselves that each one is too insignificant to matter. Over time, those choices join together and form a path. Imagine a ship leaving a harbor. If its course is altered by only a few degrees, the difference appears meaningless at first. For many miles, the ship seems to be traveling in the same direction. Passengers may not notice any change at all. Yet as the journey continues, that tiny adjustment leads to a completely different destination. The same is true in life. Small choices may appear insignificant today, but given enough time, they create enormous differences in where a person eventually arrives. This is why God often speaks to us about seemingly minor things. He understands what we cannot yet see. He knows where the road leads long before the traveler reaches the end of it. A small compromise today can become a major struggle tomorrow. A small act of obedience today can become a great blessing later. The future is often hidden inside present decisions. There are people listening who have been waiting for a dramatic sign from heaven while overlooking the daily choices already placed before them. They are looking for a miracle while ignoring opportunities to practice faithfulness. They want transformation to arrive suddenly, yet transformation is often built gradually. Great character is not formed in a single moment. It is constructed through thousands of decisions that align with truth, even when no one is watching. The encouraging reality is that this principle works in both directions. Just as negative choices can create painful destinations, positive choices can create remarkable futures. One honest decision can begin restoring trust. One act of forgiveness can begin healing a wound. One moment of courage can redirect an entire life. One choice to obey what you know is right can place your feet on a completely different path. You do not need to see the entire journey to take the next faithful step. You do not need to know every detail of the future to make a wise decision today. The path ahead is shaped by the choices made in the present moment. Every decision is building something. Every action is pointing somewhere. Every response is creating a direction. And while many people spend their lives focused on outcomes, heaven often focuses on the choices that quietly create those outcomes long before anyone else can see where the road is leading. Long before anyone else can see where the road is leading. And when that road finally reaches a place where hidden things can no longer remain hidden, many people immediately assume that exposure is the same thing as destruction. They see truth coming into the light and fear that everything is about to be lost. They imagine that when God uncovers what has been concealed, his purpose is simply to condemn. Yet this misunderstanding prevents many from recognizing one of the greatest expressions of divine mercy. God's purpose in exposure is not humiliation. It is restoration. He reveals what is broken because he intends to heal it. He uncovers what is hidden because hidden wounds cannot be properly treated. A physician cannot heal an illness that remains concealed. A builder cannot repair damage that is never examined. In the same way, God brings truth into the light because transformation begins where honesty begins. Human beings often fear exposure because they associate it with rejection. Throughout life, many have learned to protect themselves behind masks. They hide weaknesses, failures, fears, and regrets because they believe acceptance depends upon appearing strong. They become skilled at managing appearances while neglecting reality. Yet the burden of maintaining a false image grows heavier with each passing year. The soul became exhausted trying to protect something that was never meant to be its foundation. Truth has a unique quality. It can be uncomfortable when it first arrives, but it ultimately creates freedom. Lies offer temporary comfort while quietly strengthening chains. Truth may sting for a moment, but it opens the door to healing. This is why God often allows situations to develop in ways that expose what has been living beneath the surface. Not because he enjoys discomfort, but because he values freedom. Consider how often people look back on painful moments and later realize those moments became turning points. A hidden problem was finally acknowledged. A destructive pattern was finally confronted. An unhealthy relationship was finally seen clearly. At the time, the exposure felt devastating. Yet years later, they recognize it as the beginning of restoration. What seemed like a collapse was actually the removal of something that could no longer support the weight of their future. Many of God's greatest works begin with revelation. Before healing comes diagnosis. Before rebuilding comes recognition. Before renewal comes truth. The process may feel uncomfortable because it challenges illusions that have existed for a long time. But illusions cannot sustain a healthy life. They can only delay reality. Eventually, what is false must give way to what is true. There are people listening right now who are resisting something that God is trying to reveal. Deep inside, they already sense it. Perhaps it is an attitude that has been excused for years. Perhaps it is a relationship that has been leading them away from peace. Perhaps it is a fear, a resentment, or a compromise that has quietly established itself within the heart. The signs have been appearing, but there remains a temptation to look away. Yet grace often appears in the form of exposure. The very thing you wish would stay hidden may be the thing preventing your growth. The very truth you are avoiding may be the key to your freedom. God does not shine light into dark places to destroy the person standing there. He shines light so that the darkness no longer has power. This is why spiritual growth requires courage. It requires the willingness to allow truth to speak even when truth is uncomfortable. It requires trusting that God's intentions are greater than your fears. The enemy of the soul wants people to believe that exposure means the end. God wants them to understand that exposure is often the beginning. It is the first step toward restoration, healing, and renewal. Think about a gardener removing dead branches from a tree. To someone unfamiliar with the process, it may appear harsh. Branches are cut away, parts of the tree are removed, yet the purpose is not destruction. The purpose is health. The removal allows new growth to emerge. What seemed severe was actually an act of care designed to strengthen the tree for seasons still to come. The same principle often operates in our lives. God may expose an issue not because he is finished with you, but because he is preparing you. He may reveal a weakness not to shame you, but to strengthen you. He may bring hidden things into the light because he sees a future that cannot be built upon deception, denial, or unresolved wounds. His goal is not merely to reveal what is wrong. His goal is to restore what has been damaged, renew what has been weakened, and prepare the heart for a level of freedom that can only be experienced when truth is fully welcomed, a level of freedom that can only be experienced when truth is fully welcomed. And this brings us to the final and perhaps most important reality of all. Warnings are not given merely to inform, they are given to invite a response. Every sign, every conviction, every moment of truth ultimately leads to a decision. The person who hears the warning must choose whether to ignore it or embrace it, and it is in that choice that the future begins to take shape. Throughout history, we have always been two kinds of people: those who hear wisdom and continue unchanged, and those who hear wisdom and allow it to transform them. The difference is not intelligence, it is not talent, it is not even opportunity. The difference is response. One person treats truth as a passing thought, another treats it as a guide. One listens for a moment and then returns to old patterns. Another allows the message to take root deep within the heart. The remarkable thing about God's warnings is that they are never intended to leave a person trapped in fear. Fear focuses on what might happen. Wisdom focuses on what can be changed. Fear sees danger and freezes. Wisdom sees danger and chooses a better path. God's desire has never been to fill his people with anxiety about the future. His desire is to prepare them so they can walk into the future with confidence, clarity, and peace. Many people spend their lives running from consequences when they should be running toward truth. They focus on avoiding pain while ignoring the lessons that could prevent it. Yet the person who responds to God's guidance discovers something extraordinary. Peace is not found in perfect circumstances. Peace is found in alignment with truth. When a person knows they are walking in the right direction, there is a strength that exists even when challenges remain. The world often searches for peace in possessions, achievements, recognition, or control. Yet none of these things can guarantee lasting security. Circumstances change. Success rises and falls. Human approval shifts like the wind. But there is a deeper peace available to those who listen when God speaks. It is the peace that comes from knowing the foundation beneath your feet is solid. It is the peace of a conscience that is no longer fighting against truth. It is the peace of a heart that has stopped running. This does not mean life becomes free from difficulty. Even those who respond to God's warnings still face challenges. Storms south, till come. Uncertainty still appears. Questions still arise. The difference is that they face these things from a place of preparation rather than surprise. They are not constantly repairing damage caused by ignored warnings. They are not carrying the weight of preventable regret. Their strength comes from the fact that they listened when they had the opportunity. Imagine two travelers approaching a dangerous stretch of road. One notices the warning signs and adjusts his course. The other dismisses them and continues forward unchanged. At first, both travelers seem to be doing equally well. But as the journey continues, the wisdom of one and the carelessness of the other become increasingly visible. The difference was not created at the moment danger arrived. It was created at the moment the warning was received. There are people listening today who stand at exactly such a crossroads. The signs have appeared. The convictions have come. The truth has been knocking at the door of the it. The question is no longer whether the warning exists. The question is what will be done with it. Every person must answer that for themselves. Perhaps this message has revealed something that needs attention. Perhaps it has reminded you of a path that requires correction. Perhaps it has exposed an attitude, a habit, or a belief that can no longer remain unchanged. Whatever the case may be, understand this. A warning received is also an opportunity given. The very fact that truth has reached you is evidence that grace has not abandoned you. God's warnings are not roadblocks designed to stop your future. They are signposts designed to protect it. They are acts of mercy pointing toward a better destination. Those who ignore them often discover regret waiting further down the road. But those who listen, who respond, who humble themselves and follow the direction they have been given, find something entirely different. They find stability where others find confusion. They find clarity where others find uncertainty. They find confidence where others find fear. And above all, they discover a peace that cannot be manufactured by circumstances because it comes from walking in harmony with truth, trusting the guidance of God, and moving forward with the quiet assurance that the path of wisdom always leads toward life.